Okay, let me be clear on something to start off with, which I bring out in the book, and something I really needed to wrestle with to bring this down to a, well, down's a bad word, but to express this in a popular way. The gospel is always heraldic.
Heraldic.
That's a big word. Herald.
Yes.
So the gospel is always an announcement.
Yes.
The Greek word euangelion, gospel, means good news. So the people who say preach the gospel and use words if you have to, I don't think are really preaching the gospel. Okay? So we don't proclaim the gospel by being a good engineer. We proclaim the proclamation of the gospel by telling the story of Jesus. And that's what the Gospels are about. Matthew, Mark, Luke and John are all about Jesus' life and death and resurrection. That is the gospel. And then we call people to respond to that gospel through faith and obedience. We desperately need people to be doing that in all contexts. And so if this book undervalues that, that would be a pity, because I don't want that to be the case.
And that's the calling of all Christians.
Absolutely. All Christians, and we're all gifted differently to do it, and we should all know what it means to give a defence of the faith and for the things that we hold within us. But there's also kingdom work, and we are members of the kingdom, and the king is doing a work, and the work that the king is doing is he is renewing a world. And engineering has got a big part of that. And teaching has got a big part of that, because we are nurturing young lives and we're bringing them up and we're educating them in a way that they value the Christian gospel, absolutely. But God is the God of mathematics, and God is the God of history, and God is the God of French, and all those things. And we want kids to understand God's common grace, and we want medical people to express the character of God in their work. Okay. And so it's kind of, if I understand that the kingdom is pointing to a place where all will be redeemed, I think what we need to be doing is having more and more conversations one-on-one between people in churches, be it the pastor, an elder, or just a godly, wise person, and the engineer, or the person working in some valid profession. Of course, there are some invalid professions, we don't want to go there, but assuming people are working in valid professions, and to ask the question, what does it mean to be a kingdom ambassador in the work that I'm doing? And because God values order, God values healing. For the Christian police officer, then you ask the question, how am I showing the justice of God in the way that I work as a real estate agent, as it goes on and on? We also need to be praying for opportunities to proclaim the gospel. But at a pragmatic level, people are never going to listen to us proclaim the gospel unless we're living out the values of the kingdom. And so the two go together, hand in hand.
Either or.
Absolutely, it's both and. Yeah. So, so I hope people will, after reading the book, will recognise that in their valid professions, and it's not just paid professions, there's parenthood, and there's being a friend, and there's being retired, and there's being, just goes on and on. I hope people will recognise worth in that as a kingdom ambassador. I hope people will be challenged about the importance of things like compassion and truth and justice and all the sorts of things that will be revealed in the new heavens and the new earth. And I hope there'll be a synergy with proclamation of the gospel as well, because ultimately we won't do it. We will not bring about the new heavens and the new earth. That's God's work. But we are still members of a kingdom, and we need to show the values of the kingdom.